What's up, YouTube? Timus here. Now, of course, since I'm doing my top 10 list of, my favorite horror films of each year, I finished up the 2010s one. So now here is the 2000s time. So here is my official top 10 favorite horror films of the year 2000. Because there were some pretty good horror films that year. Alright, coming in at number 10 is the horror monster type creature film Crocodile. Now, this was directed by Tobe Hooper, who obviously you might know directed, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Poltergeist. By the way, if you guys have not seen Monster, the Ed Gein story, the actor who plays Tobe Hooper, perfect casting. Like, really looks so much like Tobe Hooper, big time. Like, a very young Tobe Hooper. So, really good casting there. But anyway, Crocodile, of course, if you guys don't know, is about like a group of college friends on a houseboat vacation in remote Southern California. A lake on spring break, destroy a massive crocodile's nest, and of course this 18-foot beast goes around and takes them out one by one. It's pretty much like, let's say, Jaws, but with a crocodile. It is a lot of fun. It is dumb. Who doesn't love a good crocodile film, right? It's a really good one there. All right. Coming in at number 9 is the movie titled Cut. Now, Cut starred Molly Ringwald, who obviously, is AA's hot queen right there with, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles and all. Seeing her, get into the horror atmosphere, I know was always pretty cool. This is, of course, more 12 years after a mass killer called Scarman, murdered the director of an unfinished slasher film. A group of film students decide to complete it using the original script, and the crew, of course, starts dying in gruesome ways, mirroring the movie's scenes here. The movie is pretty fun here. It is a really decent little slasher film that I feel like doesn't really get talked about much. Again, seeing Molly Ringwald in this is always pretty cool. I mean, it's a really decent little horror film that's well worth a watch. All right, number 8 is mostly a spoof movie. Obviously, I have 2 spoof films on this list. But number 8 is Shriek, If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. Now, this is, of course, a parody, if you will, of, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Obviously, this is not to be confused with another spoof movie that spoofs Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer that's also on this list. But Shriek, If I Know What You Did Last Summer is not the best one or anything. It's, of course, where, this mass killer dubbed the Fisherman terrorizes high school students with interesting fun kills here. You do got Tiffany Amber Decent, from Saved by the Bell fame. You also do got Julie Benz, Tom Arnold, Coolio's even in this. It is a lot of fun, to say the least. Definitely has some fun, hilarious stuff throughout. Again, it's not as good as something like Scary Movie or anything, but it's still a pretty cool one. I'll let you see a sequel to this, actually, but who knows. Number 7 is Ginger Snap. Ginger Snap is definitely one of the best werewolf movies of the past 20 years, in my opinion. It's of course where this morbid goth sisters Bridget and Ginger share a pact to escape their their boring lives until Ginger's first appearance coincides with the savage attack by a mysterious beast here. Ginger Snap is a really decent horror film. I mean, Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins definitely play the sister chemistry very well here. It is a really cool horror film that is well worth a watch there. John Foster directed this. He did a good job. It's a really good one there. All right, number 6 is Psycho Beach Party. Now, this movie also starred a very young Amy Adams, which I think this was her first film, if I'm not mistaken. She wasn't really the star in this, but she, of course, did appear in it, in one of her earliest roles before, she became a big name actress here. The movie is set in 1962 Malibu, where a tomboy teen chicklet Forrest, played by Lauren Ambrose, who you might know from 6 Feet Under fame, who desperately wants to join the cool surfer crowd, but suffers from severe multiple personality disorders. And of course, she becomes a murderous alter ego named Ed Bowman. And obviously some really fun kills here. I mean, the movie definitely is a callback to like those 60s beach movies and stuff. It is a pretty fun one. One of the most underappreciated horror comedies, in my opinion. Some of the kills are pretty cool. Seeing Nicholas Brandon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer was pretty cool in this. Matt Kessler, who was also in one of the Scream movies, he pops up in this. It is a really cool one. It is pretty fun to say the least, so really decent one there. Alright, number 5 is Scream 3. Of course, the third installment of the Scream franchise, and also would have been the last Scream movie until Scream 4 came around in 2011. But this time around, you got Sidney Prescott, who is drawn back into the spotlight when a new Ghostface killer begins murdering the cast and crew of Stab 3. And I always quite like some of the kills in this one. Interesting, fun characters here. I mean, of course, the reveal, spoiler by the way, but the review of Roman Bridger is always still odd, but it is a pretty cool one. Seeing like Neve Campbell come back was great. You know, Parker Posey, they really wasted her. They should have done more with the Jennifer Jolie character. But yeah, Patrick Dempsey. You had some really fun stuff like Patrick Warburton from from Family Guy fame even pops up in this. It's a really cool one, and I really quite like Scream 3. Alright. Coming in at number 4 is American Psycho. Of course, starring Christian Bale, the one that really put him on the map for most people, really. As like this wealthy Wall Street executive named Patrick Bateman, who retains a facet of Polish yuppie perfection by day here. And of course, he unleashes like his psychopathic urges at night here. And American Psycho is a really decent horror comedy. Christian Bale does such a great job here. Mary Herron directed this. She did great. Of course, you have William Dafoe, Jared Leto, Reese Witherspoon, Chloe Sevigny. I mean, yeah, American Psycho is a really good one. Definitely a horror comedy classic. It, again, put like Christian Bale on the map for most people. It is a really good one there. Of course, based on the book as well, so there's that shit. Alright, number 3 is Shadow of the Vampire. Speaking of William Dafoe. This movie is, of course, a fictionalized behind-the-scenes tale of the 1922 silent movie Nosferatu, where director F.M. Murnau strikes a dog pact with a real vampire named Max Schreck, to play the iconic Count Orlok. And it's a really interesting film about movie making, about vampires and stuff. It pretty much, some really fun, interesting mounting paranoia and bloody consequences. I think William Dafoe got an Oscar nomination for this, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there. John Malkovich did a great job here as F.W. Murnau. And it's pretty funny that Willem Dafoe played Count Orlok in this, and of course he will go on to appear in last year's Nosferatu remake. So I always found that to be pretty funny. But yeah, Shadow of the Vampire is a really good one there. Alright, number 2 is Scary Movie. Of course, the very first Scary Movie film. Obviously, parody of the Scream movies. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I mean, I love the first Scary Movie. It's really fun. Lots of really fun moments in this. Like, I always love the theater scene with Regina Hall and Shawn Wayans. Of course, Marlon Wayans as Shorty Meeks. I used to always have the Ghostface tongue mask scene. That's I used to eventually have that mask back in the days. I mean, Scary Movie is just a lot of fun here. Obviously we are getting another one next year. Can't wait for that. But nothing beats that first Scary Movie film. Oh, also Anna Faris. Come on, who didn't love Anna Faris in this? I mean, it's just a lot of fun to have with this one. And my number 1 favorite horror film of that year is Final Destination. Of course, the very first installment of a film that will spawn multiple sequels and all. Of course, where stars Devon Sawa as Alex Browning, who has a premonition of a plane explosion, and of course, obviously, he panics and causes seeing at least several people, including himself, be removed from the flight. And obviously, death, of course, comes after them one by one. Devon Sawa, obviously, a horror scream king there. He is great. Ali Lauder, Tony Todd, the late, great Tony Todd as William Bloodworth is great in this. I just love that first Final Destination movie. It was definitely something very, very new at the time. Of course, obviously, this was originally an X-Files script, which I thought was pretty cool there. But yeah, Final Destination is a great one. Obviously, again, it will spawn multiple sequels. We just had a new one this past summer. We're getting another one. So, I mean, who just doesn't love Final Destination, right? It's just a really fun one, I'll say the least. But that's pretty much it there. Here is my quick rundown. Number 10, Crocodile. 9, Cut. 8, Shriek, if you know what I did last Friday 13. 7, Ginger Snaps. 6, Psycho Beach Party. 5, Scream 3. 4, American Psycho. 3, Shadow of the Vampire. 2, Scary Movie. And number 1 is Final Destination. Now, there's a few other ones I probably could have added too. The Cell with Jennifer Lopez. That's actually not so bad. Leprechaun in the Hood's more of a guilty pleasure of mine. Definitely not Blair Witch 2. That was terrible. Urban Legend Final Cut is an okay one. Let's see. Python, another like reptile horror film. Pitch Black is more straight up sci-fi, not really full on horror. Let's see. The Little Vampire. Who remembers that one with John Lipnicki? Uh, there's the sequel to the Prophecy. I mean, the Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon. That's an okay one. Anyway, let me let you guys. What's some of your favorite horror films of the year 2000? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Tim.